Social modeling is a very powerful method of education. If children see positive consequences from a particular type of behavior, they are more likely to repeat that behavior themselves. Conversely, if negative consequences are the result, they are less likely to perform that behavior. Novel and unique contexts often capture students' attention and can stand out in the memory. Students are more motivated to pay attention if they see others around them also paying attention. Another, less obvious application of this theory is to encourage students to develop their individual self-efficacy through confidence building and constructive feedback, a concept that is rooted in social learning theory. Strength, change in environment, change in the child. One of the primary strengths of this theory is its flexibility to explain differences in a child's behavior or learning. The environmental aspect of SLT says that children learn in a social context. This reinforces the idea that when there is a change in the child's environment, the child's behavior may change. Weakness, what about accountability? With a heavy emphasis on how the child's environment affects him and directs his learning, this theory is weak when it comes to the child's own actions. Putting the focus on how setting influences behavior places more weight on the people and community that the child is a part of, and not enough weight on how the child handles and processes new information. It neglects the child's accountability and may go too far in stating that society directs how the individual behaves and acts. Strength, different ways of learning. One of this theory's strengths is that there are multiple modes of learning. For example, a child can learn the social norms of polite communication, such as give and take within a conversation, by actually talking with others, or by watching older children and adults talk to each other. Weakness, ignoring standard milestones. Unlike stage models of child development, social learning theory doesn't hinge upon a distinct progression of learning and growth that is chronological or age-dependent. The view of this theory as neglecting to consider the child's development across all of the domains is a potential weakness. Although not every child matures at an identical rate, some of the standard milestones and markers may still occur regardless of the environmental setting. Biological theorists argue that the social learning theory completely ignores individuals' biological state and autonomic nervous system responses. Also, they state that the social learning theory rejects the differences of individuals due to genetic, brain, and learning differences. It is a fact that some behaviors and responses are not only learned, but partly inherited. The Bobo doll experiment was also criticized for being too artificial, in that if an adult was acting violently to a child, other children would not repeat the behavior, or that children were manipulated into repeating the aggressive behavior, or that children were only playing rather than aggressing the doll. Bandura's ideas on violent behavior acquisition through media were also subjected to criticism. Some authors have found that watching television actually reduces the amount of aggressive behavior, since children can relate themselves with characters involved in a violent act and release their violent thoughts. This is known as the catharsis effect.
Created using Powtoon.